Let's take a look at how you can stabilize a sequence using the tracking operator in XSI's compositor. As you can see, if I play back the sequence that I've imported, it's got quite a bit of camera shake that I want to try and get rid of using the tracking operator's stabilize function. So the first thing I want to do is bring the sequence back to frame 1, and that's because I want to track for the duration of the sequence, so it's important that I set up the trackers at the first frame. Then I want to go to the transform page of the operator selector and get a tracking operator. I can then middle-click the input and middle-click the effects tree, and that's going to insert the new tracking operator, which I can then double-click to open its property editor and preview it in the effects viewer. As you can see, the first tracker is activated by default. Its properties are available from the Track 1 tab of the Trackers page. Now, since I'm only doing a one-point stabilization in this example, all I need is one tracker, although nothing is stopping me from activating additional trackers from the other tracker pages. If you look at the tracker itself, you'll notice that it's made up of three components. The first is this cross in the middle, and that's the track point. The track point is where the motion paths are actually drawn. The inner rectangle is known as the template area, and that's the area that tracks a region of the image during the sequence. In this case, I could shift, click, and drag the template area to move all three components up around this conveniently located marker, and that becomes the region of the image that I'm going to track through the tracking process. Now, from frame to frame, the tracking operator uses this outer rectangle called the search area to search for the region defined by the template. Now that I have my tracker set up, all I have to do is go back into the tracking property editor and set a few options. First, I want to go to the options page and make sure I'm in field mode. That's because the source material is NTSC and is field-based. Then I want to go to the trackers property page and make sure that on the mode tab, the mode is set to edit tracks. It's not necessary to be in edit tracks mode, but I find it easier that way because it allows me to generate the motion paths before applying any effect like match move or in this case stabilize. So if I have to fix the motion path mid-sequence, I can without being distracted by any tracking effect that I've applied. So now all I have to do is click the track from start button, and the tracking operator is going to start playing back the sequence and generating the motion path. As the motion path is drawn, keyframes are set on each of the tracker's components, those being the track point, the template area, and the search area. And as you can see, it's already processed the motion path and played back the sequence once. So now all I have to do is bring the sequence back to frame 1, and from the tracking property page, set the tracking mode to stabilize. Now all I have to do is play back the sequence, and rather than processing the motion path and stabilizing the image at the same time, all it's going to do is stabilize the image because the motion path is already drawn. As you can see, there's a huge difference between the stabilized version and the original. If I leave the mouse cursor over any of the tracking markers in the image, you'll see that they remain perfectly still and the PDA is no longer moving around the frame. And so that's stabilizing in XSI.